We returned from the Baltic into the North Sea. Starting from Kiel through the canal into the Elbe, we had sailed through the night along the Frisian islands. We had reached Lauwersoog after 36 hours and 180 miles. The next day we entered the Robbengatsluis, the gate into the Lowersmere. The lock was busy with weekenders. We were number 4 in line to enter the lock at portside, the energetic lockkeeper told us after asking for length and width of seal account. She assessed the first half-dozen boats at a glance, arranged them mentally like pieces in a tray, and waved us in accordingly. Within moments, the gates were closed. Out of the lock, the Lauwersmeer opened ahead, wind-creased and pale green bordered with reeds. The Lauwersee was formed by a flood in 1280, and many plans were made to shut it off from the Wadden Sea. But only the disastrous flood of 1953 led to the separation of the Lauwersmeer by dikes and the construction of a lock and the new harbour of the village Lauwersoog in 1969. Later, past another small lock and a lifting bridge, we moored for the night. We turned into the soft water among the meadows and the world shifted. The blues we had come from gave way to greens. The wind moved the reeds at the canals, birds sung, the clouds raced. The place was simple and quiet. A wooden jetty in open pasture, with a village belfry on the horizon, birds calling across the flat distance. Clouds drifted over the green landscape. As Patrick Lee Vermeer wrote, in Holland, the landscape is the protagonist of painting. For centuries, it was only a backdrop, a stage set for miracles and lily-bearing angels. But here, a field, a cow, a mast unites foreground and surroundings. The Staande Mast Route runs through the whole of the Netherlands, from Delfzijl at the Ems to Breeskens in Zeeland. These narrow canals weren't built for tourists, they were trade routes. For centuries, grain from the Baltic, timber from Riga, tar and hemp moved west along these waterways. We plan to stay in Friesland, however, and rejoin the Wadden Sea at Harlingen. The oldest canals of the Netherlands are over 1,000 years old and served water drainage, but also transport of goods in small boats. A vast network of canals connecting rivers, towns and seas, however, goes back to the Golden Age in the 17th century. In Friesland, these quiet waterways once carried trade, using flat-bottomed boats that could pass on the low bridges and through narrow locks. The chalk ships, schuitjes in Friesland, were the workhorses of inland waterway transport in the 18th and 19th century. The captain and his family lived on board. These gaff-rigged sailboats measured 12 to 20 meters and had a foldable mast. We continued to Dokkum and moored between two windmills at the canal, where in the 16th century the walls protected the hexagonal center of the town. Frisian boats carried cargo inland, linking the North Sea with Holland's cities. In those times, Dokkum was the center for trade with Spain. Even now, the Staande Mast Route follows that old logic: safe passage, mast standing, avoiding the shoals of the Wadden Sea. In the evening, the harbour master came along to get the mooring fee, and in the morning the garbage was collected from the ship right away. In this part of Friesland, the past seems almost touchable. Some villages, for example Burdar, look not too different from a centuries-old etching. Besides, these canals also form the route of a famous ice skating race, almost 200 kilometers along the 11 historic Frisian cities. In Leeuwarden, we moored in the park in the center of the town. Sealand got many compliments of passers-by. The capital of Friesland has an impressive bookshop and many cafes and bars to sit along the grachten and enjoy a glass. Then came the canal connecting to Harlingen that is used for commercial shipping. There is no room for idyllic overnight stays in the countryside, so we continued through Harlingen's lock to reach the Wadden Sea. The lock is named after Tjerk de Vries, one of the famous Frisian admirals of the 17th century who fought in the Anglo-Dutch Battle of Lowestoft. In the Wadden Sea we had a last chance to set our sails to get back to the busy Lauwersoog into the IJsselmeer and back to Dokkum. We sailed to tiny Danish islands where we were often the only visiting yacht. Once back in the North Sea, the tidal streams and sands once again set the course. On our 3-week trip we sailed 550 miles. We traced the old trading route from Friesland to the Baltic Sea, making use of the modern way through the Kiel canal, crossing freighters from all over the world. The trip was not only an exploration of a new cruising area, the Baltic, but also a voyage into the past of seafaring.